All right, next one I've been meaning to watch for a while. It's 5 days old, and it's from Farrister. It's titled 10 Years of Waiting for Star Citizen. And Farrister makes, incredibly, for the most part, beautiful, positive videos. This title does not seem positive, but it could be. And I'm really curious how it ends up coming out. Is it just, all a compilation of all the beautiful videos he's made? I don't know. Let's see what this is all about.
The 8th of August 2024 is an important date in my relationship with Star Citizen. The date marks 10 years since first jumping on board back in 2014.
Whew.
Like any long-term relationship, those 10 years have been filled with ups and downs. At times, Star Citizen has provided pure wonder, excitement, and hope for the future, and at other times has been a test of patience and a lesson in frustration. But reflecting on that journey might prove interesting to some of you,
Classic
and so here
NPCs
it is.
on chairs.
I'm Farrister, and in most videos on this channel, I try to avoid use of the word I, to try to be a little more objective and circumspect. It probably feels right that this video is an exception to that general aim. To that end, this video will be my subjective thoughts and feelings about the past decade as a Star Citizen backer, some of which you may agree with, and some of which you might not.
Okay.
I suppose that's the nature of subjectivity, but as always, it will be honest. So hopefully you'll join me as we turn the clock back 10 years. It's August the 8th, 2014, and having just read about Star Citizen, my mind is blown.
Okay.
This title promises to be the greatest, the best damn space sim ever, and will be purely focused on a PC experience, meaning no compromises to mass market to consoles, offering unrivaled support for high-end graphics and custom hardware. The game will offer a
I think only one of those things right now is true.
living universe
And it's not the consoles.
of possibility, all experienced from your character's unique first-person perspective. Combat, exploration. You'll even be able to group up to operate larger ships as a crew of people working together. It didn't take me long to be sold on the idea, and so my first game purchase was sat in the hangar, the Origin 325A.
Okay.
And it was quite literally was sat in the hangar, because the first thing to download for Star Citizen was the hangar module.
But in 2014, we had more than the hangar module, didn't we? We definitely did. I feel like we did. And the 325 was, I believe, it had the Omni Skies, and it was the only ship that had Omni Skies. And Omni Skies were the meta in Arena Commander.
At this point, I have to make clear, I wasn't making any YouTube videos at this time, and frankly, Star Citizen was renowned for producing terrible frame rates, so much of what you'll see of this early period will just be snippets and screenshots, but hopefully they give a perspective. Walking around the hangar, seeing that little ship, climbing on the back to look around, the imagination ran wild, and that imagination of a future of infinite possibility was what first got me into Star Citizen, but is also the Achilles heel of the game for many. But
yeah, I think people still do imagine a lot, but I think more and more and more people are realizing that they're getting something different than what they imagined.
we'll come to that soon. Back in 2014, the game is taking me days to download, and so the day after making my very first purchase, another $5 goes to the project to pay for the Arena Commander module to unlock.
Oh my god, that's right. I was there before you had to do that. Like, you had to pay extra for Arena Commander.
That functionality.
Yeah.
For those not satisfied with simply enjoying the beauty of the ship in their hangar, this relatively recently launched module back then gave players the chance to actually fly their ship in space, true 6 degrees of freedom movement, a detailed, complicated flight model. The best pilots who truly understood the gamut of fine controls of G-safeties and comms stab, of coupled and decoupled, those pilots were revered amongst the community as masters of the IFCS.
Dude, there was a psychopath. His name was Hydra Big Bang, and he aimed with his head. He aimed just like this and never missed. It was one of the craziest things. He was wild.
For modern backers, some of that last sentence might not make sense, as one of the criticisms of the flight model changes that have happened over the years is that Star Citizen has moved much closer to being more of an aerodynamic flight model, like World War II dogfighting in space. But back in 2014, flying was complicated and that was exciting to get into.
But it was also not what was communicated. What was communicated was World War II dogfighting in space.
It was a wonderful experience to actually get into the hangar, explore the ship, and then start learning to fly and fight. Over the next few weeks and months, reading more about the game, chatting to people on the forums, yes, forums long before Spectrum came along, I got deeper and deeper, upgrading to a Constellation Phoenix as a fancy multi-crew ship, upgrading again to an 890 jump luxury yacht, and imagining all of the possibilities of exploring the stars with friends. I had very quickly gone from spending $80 on a starter pack to having spent hundreds on the idea of a luxury space yacht. Then came the end of November 2014 with something that really blew my mind. During my time reading all about the vision of Star Citizen, I'd come across the concept of the Idris, a large...
Mike, back then you couldn't walk around inside your ships in Arena Commander. Arena Commander 1.0 is when you could do that? Because they had the landing pads.
Corvette/frigate with a big railgun at the front and a long through-deck hangar for fighter craft. A select few had purchased them already for $1,000 or more, but the idea was that this would be an endgame raid-style content for large groups of players to...
Luke Presley saying, I remember having to add the landing pads. They added so much to the game at that time, actually.
Operate an actual capital-sized warship in-game. The idea of that sounded great, and I had joined an organisation to help crew one once they were eventually available in-game, but at the time the Idris model looked kinda gangly, a little bit awkward, and quite reliant on the railgun at the front. But in November, an article came up which showed a new, bigger warship designed by Dave Hobbins, the Javelin-class destroyer. This ship immediately captured my imagination. Not only did the launch document talk about how multiple people would need to work together to crew this ship, but it had a detailed deck map which talked about all of the different functions that people would fulfill. It was a ship that would kinda do a bit of everything whilst being well protected, and most importantly, the Javelin looked awesome.
Okay, but what about the... Everybody remembers this, right? That the original pitch for the Javelin was that it was a... like a decommissioned ship that is being sold to the public but has nothing in it. And you were to work together with your org to essentially build this ship. That is what excited me about this, is that it was like this decommissioned thing that became a project for me and my friends. I never bought it because it was too expensive, and I mean, that was like a month. That was more than a month of income for me to buy this thing.
Visual style just captured me. It still does. Inevitably then, following a rocky sale experience, it sat in my hangar.
Wasn't that the Bengal? No, the Bengal was never sold. Two people said, wasn't it the Bengal? So now I'm feeling like I'm being gaslit, but it was the Javelin.
So by the end of 2014, within a few short months, I'd discovered the game, played some of the early modules, and quickly become incredibly invested to concierge level. For the uninitiated, that means I spent far too much on a video game that wasn't out yet.
He's got a monocle.
2015 was more of the same. I've been reading more about engineering, the long multi-crew system design document detailing all of the things that the game would offer to large capital ship teams, and overall building up my hype levels. I became a regular subscriber to the extra content on offer. I bought a HOTAS joystick combo to really push my flight capabilities to the next level, and even went to the 2015 CitizenCon event in Manchester to hype some more in real time.
That was the one that was in the hangar under the Concorde or whatever, right?
And that just built the hype further. Seeing Admiral Bishop give a rousing speech, seeing Star Citizen Alpha 2.0 where players were first able to spawn in Stanton, including on multi-crew ship.
2.0 was probably one of the like most amazing moments that I had. It was like the first time you walked up the stairs and you went to a landing pad, and I looked to my right, and there was Crusader, and I was like, holy shit. Like, this is the game. This is what I want. Like, I want a game in this experience. Like, that was the moment that I was like, I backed the right project. I really like what this is. And these are things that I think, have come to take for granted a little bit. Looking back at, sitting on Daymar, but seeing Orison out there or Crusader out there in the distance, things like that. But yeah, I mean, those were the things that my hype levels, that was probably the peak of my hype levels was around 2015, 2016. And then after that, it died very quickly.
For the first time. And
roller coaster.
Then seeing the Morrow tour of an Idris, it felt like everything was coming together. I was excited for the future, and the future...
Bro saw the Morrow tour and thought everything was coming together. That was the most buggy disaster mess I've seen in a while. That one's funny. Come on, Farrister.
Was almost here.
Holy
Soon,
shit.
Trademarked. That might seem a little naive, and in hindsight it was. But at the time, most of the big adverts for Star Citizen and Squadron 42 came with nice dates at the end of the video. Coming soon in 2016. Yeah. Answer the Call in 2017. With those dates coming...
It was Answer the Call 2016, then it was Answer the Call 2017.
Officially from the project team, I genuinely believed this incredible game with so many features and functionality was right around the corner. It took the next year or two passing by to start to see reality come into view. 2016 and 2017 marked a steady waning of my enthusiasm for Star Citizen, mostly because ideas remained big, but tangible progress remained slow. It became clear that the recently launched PU was filled with problems. It took longer than expected to get multi-crew working properly, and deadlines kept slipping. One of the major problems with the project started to become obvious, that those big ideas of doing things that had never been done, the very thing that created so much hype, was unraveled by the technical complexity of what needed to happen. Those things had never been done for a reason. It was technically very difficult. The situation was exacerbated by the amount of extra work that was being created, the features and scope being significantly expanded through use of stretch goals, and the dreams of the boss. The extra ships being concepted and sold that needed work to actually build, all of this served to push deadlines back.
Best skin in the game. There's no better skin in the game. That right there. Icebreaker Vulture. Don't at me.
Before those due dates were eventually obfuscated altogether to try to abate disappointment. This led me to have a loss of confidence with the project, a falling out of love with Star Citizen. I went and did other things. I used my newly acquired HOTAS to fly a lot of DCS World, and largely put Star Citizen on the back burner, preferring to come back when things had finished. I felt burned out by the over-promises and under-delivery. To fly so high in excitement and hype, it was a long way to fall back down to reality.
What happened? He's very balanced in his approach, I think, now. But his videos are very, positive, I would say. In the sense of like, I will make content with the content that we have is the vibe that I got from Farrister, and he enjoys it.
But they say that time heals all wounds. As 2018 made way to 2019, 5 years on from first discovering the idea of Star Citizen, the baby steps forward in the persistent universe started to create a more dynamic and interesting game. Cargo hauling finally came just before the end of 2017. In-game mining came along in mid-2018, and Hurston was added as a first new planet to visit at the end of 2018.
Yep.
ArcCorp came along in
2018 kind of made it feel like progress was going to start picking up and start moving. Specifically, like, holy shit, the hype around Hurston was absolutely insane. Because they did it. There were a lot of people that said the procedural planet thing wouldn't be possible, and it was, right. And there's a lot of people that still say XYZ thing won't be possible, and it might be, right. They haven't proven that everything is possible yet, but
2019,
back
and
then
Standard was
okay,
steadily expanding. This steady progress rekindled my interest in Star Citizen, but tempered with a little wisdom from the scars of the past. There were no shortage of bugs or missing features, but the game was becoming more playable. My focus, therefore, became more about enjoying what was playable now, with a wary eye on the future, rather than getting overly hyped. Rolling into 2020, I started making some YouTube videos about the game and some of the ships therein, for which some people seemed interested in my thoughts, and so playing the game to cultivate that new online community became a reason to continue.
Yeah.
Roll forward.
I think for a lot of the creators, the only reason that they play the game still, if at all, is because they enjoy making content. And their community cares when they make content about this game, right? Myself is very similar. Like, I enjoy making content for the game, and I enjoy, more importantly, the people that come around when I make the content for the game. It's a lot of fun. Streaming on Twitch is super fun. Obviously, when you play other games, some people are going to leave. I have the advantage of I'm not even in the Star Citizen directory now, and I have more, people watching me right this moment than I did when I was playing the game earlier today, right? But I spent 10 years building that, where it's not, the case for a lot of the other streamers in the space. They're still trying to figure it out. But I think the fact that people give content creators a hard time for playing the game or the game being fun to them because content is fun. And I think the average Redditor, Discorder, watcher, Twitter user doesn't quite understand that there's a difference between those two things. That playing the game, you could play any other game and have more fun. Most likely, right? Right now, this moment, I cannot wait to play Eve. I am having so much fun in Eve. I really enjoy it. You can play any other game, but I still spend most of my day doing this because this is what I find to be the most fun. I love this. It's my favorite thing to do. And I don't think your average watcher can understand that. And I think somebody like Farrister, who makes videos that essentially makes Star Citizen look really good, sometimes I see the comments in my chat, at least, that they'll kind of shit on them a little bit. And it's because they don't understand, right? They don't understand that person is like, this game has camera controls and beauty that allows me to do this. And the average watcher can't understand that he's having fun. Just because he's not playing an MMO or doing all the things the CIG said they would do doesn't mean what he might be doing isn't fun to him, right? And yeah, that's you guys will never understand that shit,
today,
I guess.
and broadly, that's still my approach. I'm excited by the possibilities of the future for Star Citizen and Squadron 42, but until it's in my hands, I reserve judgment. It's a common theme of my video.
Quit having fun? It's literally what people will say. They'll say that you're lying, right? They'll say that he's lying. He's pretending to have fun. He doesn't have to pretend to have fun. He's having fun. He's just not having fun with what you think he should have fun with, right?
That I focus on what's in-game right now, rather than the promises or beliefs of what might happen in the future. Not least because many of the things that some players are convinced will happen are based on some very historic statements, and frankly, might not actually happen anymore. But
yes, and that's 1,000% true, and that is the comment about Star Citizen is have fun with what you have now if you can. Don't if you can't. And don't believe what you heard because it's probably not going to come true. But I think with creators, what people just still can't catch is that they're not having fun with the game, most likely, because there is no game to have fun with. They're having fun with the tools that the game gives them to make cool content that makes them feel good, that makes them happy, that makes them have fun. And the community can't separate those two things or understand those things and how they're different. So content creators will often get a lot of shit and stuff like that because they just don't understand. And to some extent, I can understand that as well. People think content creators are ruining everything and so on and so forth. And yeah, they do. Guides everywhere, and all that stuff doesn't help. I mean, content creators with cameras all over the street taking fucking videos of you and everyone else, it's super uncomfortable and weird, obviously, right? So
by actively playing what's in our hands each and every patch, that's where I get the most value from Star Citizen. Back in 2014, I
remember I wanted to say something of like, I'm enjoying what I have now. I think when you make a statement like that, and the fact that the community doesn't understand, it makes you look like you're being disingenuous. Because you shouldn't be able to enjoy what you have now for 10 years. Because you would have done the same thing 1,000 times over, right? But because, like, this is my belief, and, you know, Farrister can feel free to chime in and share his POV. He stops by the channel and stuff sometimes. The thing that I assume is happening is I'm able to have fun with what is here because I'm able to do this other thing with it, which is YouTube videos, content creation, so on and so forth, right? And I just think that when players get upset that somebody else is having fun, I first find it funny, but second, it's like, you know, got to pay attention and understand what's going on.
A small fortune on the idea of a game, and just like many of you, I'm still waiting for much of that idea and many of those ships. But what I'm playing right now, each and every week, I'm enjoying. It's not the complete package, far from it, and it's not without bugs. There are plenty of those too. But
for example, this is the best example. I can do this a lot. I can use a vulture, hull scrape ships, put the boxes in the back, store them in my hangar, and then sell them later. I could do a lot of that. I want to do a lot of mining, but the server tick rate, whatever, making the thing jump up, I can't, right? And that's a thing.
For me, Star Citizen as it is now is a fun game to play, warts and all.
The components as well.
Every month that I'm enjoying playing the game for what it is, I'm slowly getting more and more value for that money with no ongoing subscription or server costs. At least, not currently. So, here we are, 10 years on, and a lot has changed. I used to be a young man with a load of free time and a wild imagination. Now, I'm a little older, arguably wiser, with a skeptical but cautiously hopeful eye on the future.
I have so much more grey hair.
The one thing that has been an absolute constant during the last 10 years, however, has been the people met along the way. I joined my organisation back in 2014 and have not looked back since, having made a number of great friends there over the years. The same is true of my more recent experience making YouTube videos. I've been fortunate to be graced by a fantastic audience who are incredibly supportive about this passionate hobby, and also lucky to meet some of the content creators in our community who have also turned out to be some great people. It's a bit of a cliche that the people you meet along the way are what make a journey great, but in this case, that happens to be true.
Yeah, it's part of it, for sure. Part of it is what makes it great. But that doesn't mean that there aren't bad things either, right? Like, the great is, I definitely have met some great people, made some great friends. I mean, there's some people I call, like, anytime something bad is happening or whatever, I call these people in the community, and they're, you know, I talk to them, and I consider them my friends. And, but the game's still shit. Like, I don't know what else to say. The game is still garbage. And the thing is I feel like this camaraderie comes from a state of, like, the game is so bad that we all get together, and it's like AA for, you know, like the game being bad. Like, yeah, it's shared suffering sometimes. Kind of funny.
Some of you might be thinking that this seems like an awfully rosy picture to paint.
Misery loves company. I hear that all the time, and that's what people will say whenever I make a video that's, like, angry. But I'll say this again and again and again and again and again. Anytime I've made a positive video, it has gotten significantly more views and significantly more love and significantly more support than any time I've made a negative video.
For a game that has been almost ready for over 10 years. Well, I hope it doesn't come off that way, but ultimately those of you who would say that raise a fair criticism, and I can understand how many people would simply get fed up of waiting. I think too that if I was focused on the promised end result, I'd probably feel the same way, but focusing on the here and now has helped me stay a bit more grounded. I probably ought to address that some people might accuse me of being some kind of mouthpiece for the developers at CIG.
See what I mean? And that is coming from reality. It's not like, he's not saying that out of the blue, assuming that somebody might say that. It's because somebody has said that 100 fucking times.
As many content creators are closely linked with the game developers. Well, despite my reaching out a few times, I'm not involved with any of their community team or influencer programs or anything like that. Perhaps that's because I'm too honest sometimes, like today, about the good and the bad, or perhaps simply because
I'm in their, like, whatever their influencer program is. It doesn't matter whether or not you're honest. If they haven't reached out to you, that's insane. And it's probably they did, but you didn't see the email.
Because I'm just a random guy making videos about a game I enjoy. It's a shame, but regardless, it means I can openly say I've had no involvement with the developers at CIG in my capacity as video guy, and so these thoughts are entirely my own.
I don't know how to respond to that statement, because I'm somebody that's been involved in, I've been more involved than any other creator in the space has been. I have literally been involved in the actual development of Star Marine. I was the first group of people that went to Gamescom and showed that off in 2016. I have countless developers that hang out in the chat. I do have the ships to give away sometimes. I don't know if I'm in that program anymore. It doesn't matter. But I still feel like my thoughts are my own. And they always have been. Right? So just because you have a relationship in some capacity doesn't mean that you have to say something a certain way. I feel like I've gone pretty hard into, problem, like Luke Presley's here. I feel like I've gone pretty hard into anything they've worked on. That's for sure. And, I don't know. It's a weird one. I think it's more that he makes genuinely videos that make the game look good. And people assume that he's some sort of paid shill or something like that. And like, I never get if I make a positive video, I'm a paid shill. If I make a negative video, I'm just making the video because hate is, that's what gets views. So, commenters. We'll just leave it at that. I just find that statement that he made to be weird, but I think it gives him the ability to be like, hey, any commenter that says I'm this, like, I have no involvement with them at all. And to be honest, that's incredibly rare these days, because creators to the capacity and level that Farrister is at would normally have been involved in some way, shape, or form with CIG, whether it was like getting a giveaway ship, which would be the minimum, to sort of where I'm at, which is, I guess what people would consider to be like kind of crazy or whatever. I don't know.
Ultimately, the most important thing I've learned is that everybody has their own relationship with this game.
Yes.
For better or worse, for richer or poorer.
And the reason they have their own relationship is because the game doesn't exist and nobody knows what it is, so they create their own reality. Lots of creating your own realities in the Star Citizen community these days.
In sickness and in health. And it is for each person to decide whether they're happy with what we have, are excited by the vision, or disappointed with the delays. All of those positions are valid to me, as somebody who has been on that journey too. But for me, what we have right now is pretty good. It's far from problem-free. There's still an
Again, best paint.
Awful lot missing, but this game has managed to keep me playing week in, week out for the past few years. And there aren't many games out there that could say that. So,
it also sounds like he plays once a week, right? It's probably a lot easier to follow the game once a week instead of follow it every day.
Star Citizen, here's to the last 10 years. Here's
Cheers.
hoping I might still be playing for another 10 years to come, and
Cheers
I think
to you,
I speak
Farrister.
for everyone watching in saying, I really hope you're officially released before then. If you're new here or not yet subscribed to the channel, if you got this far, I really hope you'll consider hopping aboard. I'd love to read your thoughts or reflections on my or your own relationship with Star Citizen in the video comments, and if you want me to make more videos like this in future, then pressing the like button will give me that nudge. But
like, I watch his videos. I don't watch a lot of them react-wise, but I watch his videos. I've watched every single video that's come out. Everyone. He's another one of those creators that it's the super chill. Yeah, I got the link. That's super chill, laid back, and yeah, it always excites me to want to play the game again. These type of videos. It's like him, Noob Citizen, Odd Job Entertainment. There's some new guy in the space. I can't remember his name right now. That kind of just like play the game with a group of their friends. Some of them, and yeah, it just makes me want to play, right? So, yeah. But 10 years for him, 11 for me now, And yeah, Citizen Kate's another one. Yep. There's a bunch of really good ones that just kind of are playing the game with a group of friends, you know, setting a goal out for themselves for that day, and then just play. And it's like mega chill. So yeah, like that stuff. But a lot of years, he's got the right attitude. I can't have that attitude. I keep wanting the game to be better. So instead of appreciating what I have now, I will never appreciate what I have now, and will keep pushing to get to where this game needs to be, because this game could still be the best. This game could still be the best. And if we keep just accepting what they have, and I'm not saying that's what Farrister does, if we keep accepting what they give us and they keep shoveling shit down our throat and we don't spit it back at them, we're gonna keep eating shit. And I'm tired of eating shit. So that's how we differ. But that doesn't mean that I absolutely don't love his content and need it. It desalinates me, you know? It's great.